Hello, partners. I thought Christmas time might be perfect to profile an American who brought us all a better understanding of goodness and of right and wrong. It's the story of a little boy, not unlike Tiny Tim in the wonderful Christmas story, A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. Partners, our honoree was a very sickly child, constantly plagued by asthma attacks. This little boy was named Eugene. He was born in El Paso, Texas in 1921. He worried his parents not just because he occasionally nearly died during his attacks, but also young sickly Eugene had an incredible imagination. His favorite thing was to find an old cardboard box and sit in it for hours, pretending he was in a sailing vessel, rocking and heaving over rough seas. But thankfully, Eugene's mother was smart. She knew in her young son was a boy with a great mind, a mind that needed to be expanded. So here's what she did. Eugene's mom taught her son how to read years before other children. By the time he was ready for grade 1 in school, our young honoree was far ahead of his time. She made sure he always had a big supply of library books, most about great voyages. She also made sure that those books were wholesome and presented clear stories of right and wrong. When the Second World War broke out, Eugene had overcome his asthma and trained as an Air Force pilot. He took part in 90 raids during the war. Yes, young Eugene went out against the enemy 90 times and returned safely 90 times. After the war, Eugene joined the Los Angeles Police Department. He made friends in Hollywood where many of them loved to have dinner with him because he quickly gained a reputation as a master storyteller. And as you might expect, most of those stories were of great voyages. Jimmy, what's the deal here? Little boy learns how to read and write, becomes a fighter ace in the war, then makes friends with a lot of people in Hollywood while working as a policeman. Where's this going? Hey, partners, I'll be glad to tell you where it's going. I'm glad you asked. Sit down for this. Here's where we're going, where no one has ever gone before. For Eugene's stories became the stories of the Starship Enterprise, a massive richness and scope of the Star Trek stories. The many TV series, the movies, all came from the vivid imagination of the little boy from El Paso, Texas, who sat in a beaten-up cardboard box pretending to ride the heaving oceans of the world, who flew against the enemy in 90 dangerous missions. Yes, partners, that little boy was Eugene. Gene, partners, get this, Roddenberry. Partner Gene died in 1991, but his legacy still lives on. And to this day, every Star Trek story is a kind of lesson in good and evil. Each of Gene Roddenberry's quests for great stories about unknown lands has a moral. So at this Christmas time, let's remember the little boy who was very sick as a child, who nearly died of asthma attacks, the little boy who served in World War II, the little boy who created the wonderful, delightful, very righteous world of Star Trek, Gene Roddenberry. So, Merry Christmas Eve, everyone. I love you guys so much. This story has just touched my heart. Each of you gives me the strength to continue our little foundation and carry the message of righteousness and patriotism to our young people today. I'll see you next week. Until then, you know the story. Find the great big old red box up there at the right and click it, and you'll be magically transported back to the report page. Dennis, thank you for this great story of Gene Roddenberry. I love you guys. Go get 'em, Tigers!